Hey guys, this is Scott, Vegas Horse Pools. I'm here on another college football Monday morning with my buddy Gary. Gary, how was your weekend?
Could have been better. I'll tell you that. There were some big misses. Iowa at UCLA. I decided to go against the whole traveling through multiple time zones thing, and I cost myself for it, of course. But there were some big wins. I had Bama -3 at LSU. Did not get the best of that number, but still did not do well with Georgia. I mean, it was hit or miss basically all weekend. I feel okay. I feel like I learned more this weekend, and that's really what you're trying to do on a week out basis, right?
Yeah, but you don't need the lessons to be quite that expensive. It
Oh,
was a disastrous weekend for me. I mean, the Alabama
it was
game, I
bad.
was shocked at. The Georgia game, I was shocked at. The UCLA game, I never thought that was going to happen.
No, and not
And
the way that the rushing went. Not the. I mean, it just there were a lot of things that didn't make a whole lot of sense this weekend, but that's kind of how the season has gone, right? There's some
yes,
things that just have not made any sense, and I don't know if it's the lack of depth for some of these teams. I don't know if it's just the way that the incoming portal guys and whatnot. I don't know if that has changed the chemistry on. I have no idea. I do know it has made this sport wildly more entertaining uh, because it's so chaotic because you have no clue what's going to happen on a week out basis.
yeah, and this has been the tale of two seasons for me because halfway through the season, I truly believed Nebraska was on track to play for the national title. I don't think they're going to make a bowl game at this point.
They,
Um, I
I mean, they might not.
I
It
don't
looks
see.
rough.
I mean, I'm not a negative person, but I don't see how they're going to beat Iowa. USC plays really good ball at home. I don't see that being a win either. Let's pull up Spank odds. Let's see if Spank odds can talk me out of this. Let's see what our first game is here, Gary. And again, this shows what poor um, games we have this weekend. Spank odds has all of these games at least a 9-point favorite. So this is going to be a crazy weekend. Tell me, what do you know about Clemson versus Pittsburgh?
So I've got my numbers have loved Pitt all season, and I don't know if it's because of the play count. I don't know if it's the pace of play. Whatever it is that Pitt's offense has been doing, their offense has been atrocious lately. The last 2 weeks have just not been good. Virginia, of course, getting the win last week. I've got Clemson -4, about 4.5, based on the last 4 weeks. My 4 week model. I've got Clemson -8. I don't have it quite up to 9, but at the same time, at the same way that Pitt's offense has kind of gone into the toilet, their defense has been really, really good. So at least advanced stats wise, Clemson. If
Uh,
Virginia Tech was
Gary, let
not
me
hurt
break
in this,
in. Let me
go
break in
ahead.
for just a second. Do you see the red lighting up on Spank odds?
Yeah,
BetUS must be listening to you right now. They just moved the line to a +10 and the -10 here. When Spank odds changes colors like that, you guys are going to realize that the book is moving, and they're
yes.
moving right now on this. So maybe people are listening, Gary. Go ahead. I
Who
don't
knows?
want to interrupt you, but you also look at Spank odds there, and you will see that the Missouri game versus South Carolina is in red. That generally means that the book is taking less money on that than normal because of an injury, probably a
And
quarterback or a big
yes,
player.
that would be because they don't know if Brady Cook is going to play or not.
Okay, exactly. All right, I'll let you go back to Clemson, but I thought I did want to brag on you moving the line there while you were talking.
So Clemson, as far as SP Plus special teams, Pitt is number 9 nationally. Clemson number 124. So that's the way that Pitt can potentially stay in the game. It is at Pitt. Clemson is the better team overall, but there is a world where this Pitt defense can confuse Cade Klubnik and find a way to stay in the game. But it is very difficult to bet on Pitt right now because they are in a just a tailspin currently. So I mean, I'm going to stay away from this one, but I think Clemson might be the only way to bet. But of course, now that things moved up to 10, I'm staying away from it.
And I'm with you. I want to watch this game, but this is the advantage that we have as betters is we don't have to bet every single game. So that's a really good advantage for us.
You got that
What?
right. You
Let's
got that
talk.
right.
Let's talk about game number 2, Tennessee versus Georgia. This is the game of the weekend. I know I'm a Nebraska fan. I know it's the only thing I care about, but this is the game to watch. And I think this number of 9 is way out of line. What do your numbers show on Tennessee?
So this one actually opened Georgia 10.5, and it's been bet down to 9. I've got Georgia by 3. Based on the last 4 weeks, I've got Georgia minus 2.5, so it's effectively home field. I mean, it's a pick 'em on a neutral. If Georgia's offense could not score on Ole Miss, I know that they're at home, but do we really think that they're going to have a lot of success against Tennessee's defense? At Tennessee, I've got number 4 in predicted points added allowed per drive. They are phenomenal on defense. They get after the quarterback. They're number 2 in havoc rate created. Georgia's offense, number 57 in havoc allowed. And you saw that offensive line just get whipped by Ole Miss's front this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it is a Saturday night in Athens. Game day is going to be there. And I can't tell you the last time that game day went to a team that just came off of a big loss, right? I cannot remember that happening. But if you look at the slate, I mean, there's not a whole lot of other options. I mean, this is, now that we've got the playoff, this is still a massive, massive game. Tennessee's defense is lights out. Now, the offense is questionable. I'm going to guess this thing opened up like this because Nico sat out the second half of that Tennessee-Mississippi State game this past week. But Heupel came out and said that was all precautionary. They ran the ball, did basically whatever they wanted to against Mississippi State in the second half. I don't think that SEC teams really take Mississippi State seriously because you can, anytime you need to do something against them, you can. So 9 is just bananas. Like I don't see it happening. However, it is a freshman court. Well, a first-year starter in Nico Iamaleava. I would still probably lean Tennessee because this feels like a one-score game. And I think it's going to be pretty low scoring. You kind of feel the same way.
Exactly. I am a big Georgia supporter. I think they have one of the best teams in the country. But they're not 9 points better than Tennessee. I expect them to win, but never to cover a 9. So if forced to bet this, and I'm probably going to be forced, I'm going to be supporting Tennessee in this ball game. I like Georgia at home, but geez, 9 points is way too many. I like your 2.5 or 3. If you gave me 2.5, I'll go Georgia. 3, I'm probably still going to lean Tennessee. So,
yeah, I mean, here's the difference between the two. Okay, so Tennessee is number 31 in offensive success rate. Georgia's defense is number 7 in defensive success rate. Georgia's offense, number 35 in offensive success rate. Tennessee's defense is number 3 in defensive success rate. So Tennessee is shades better on both sides of the ball than Georgia has currently shown. And that front 7 of Tennessee can get after the quarterback the same way that Ole Miss could. Carson Beck's going to be running for his life again. Unless that offensive line shows us something different, I don't see how you can possibly get to 9.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Now let's go to the red circled game on Spank Odds. And this is a team that really cost me yesterday or Saturday on against Oklahoma. I really thought Oklahoma was going to beat them. With 2 minutes left, I really thought Oklahoma was going to beat them. And obviously that's not what happened. I think 13 points is a lot in this ball game, though. What do your numbers show?
It's 13 because they are currently assuming that Brady Cook, the Missouri quarterback, is not going to play in this game. South Carolina is not the same. I mean, this South Carolina team beat Oklahoma in Norman like a drum. I mean, they just destroyed them a couple of weeks ago. South Carolina is, I mean, I've got them at 8.5. South Carolina by 8.5. My last 4 weeks model has got South Carolina by 19. I mean, it is. Missouri with Drew Pine at quarterback is not a good offense. On the season, Missouri's offense really hadn't been that good anyway. They're number 99 in offensive PPA per drive. They are number 96 in predicted points added per play. Now, their defense has actually been pretty good, number 22 and number 29 in those two metrics on defense. But South Carolina, I got them at number 10 on defense. Their offense is slightly better at number 75 in offensive PPA per drive. The South Carolina's defensive success rate for the season is not great, but when you look at their defense and what they are really, really good at, they're number 3 in havoc rate created. The issue, at least as far as going against Missouri, Missouri's got a pretty decent offensive line. They are number 15 in havoc allowed. They are number 40 in stuff rate allowed. They are number 56 in offensive line yards. So they're pretty good on the offensive line. If they can protect whoever's at quarterback, they ought to be able to stay in this game. But, man, South Carolina has hit a different gear now that their quarterbacks are healthy. Lenore Sellers looks fantastic. He's against Vanderbilt. Like, it took them a little while, but they did what they wanted to. South Carolina is absolutely rolling right now. I wouldn't get in front of it, but it is a lot of points. So before this weekend, I had a buddy text me. SEC home teams that are favored by more than 6 points were only 1-12 against the spread. Now, I haven't checked exactly what it looked like this past weekend, but 1-12 against the spread that's insane.
That is insane. I agree.
Yeah, something to pay attention to, because if Brady Cook plays, this number is going to come back down to probably 8, somewhere maybe around a touchdown, because I think he's worth that much. Drew Pine is not good. Not good. And Missouri had, 2 defensive touchdowns in that game against Oklahoma?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, so if Jackson Arnold doesn't turn the ball over, they shouldn't have had a problem winning that ball game. But the turnovers just absolutely killed them. So, yeah, I think if Cook decides that he's good enough to play, this thing's probably coming down to 7.5, 8. Maybe take a flyer on Missouri. Just keep an eye on what that injury looks like. But that Missouri defense is still pretty good.
Well, since you're going to talk about the injury there, I want to bring this up. Spank Odds has a big injury team, and everybody says they put out the injury reports faster than anybody. So if you're going to play this ball game, you might want to be watching Spank Odds for the injury reports that come through on the system, because this is going to play big in this one. But I got to tell you, until that injury report comes out, it says if the quarterback's going to play or not, I think it's a good idea just to wait in this ball game.
I tend to agree. Even still, 13.5 does feel like a lot.
I think so too.
Is South Carolina really going to be able to score on Missouri's defense? Like, are we sure about that? It is at home, but it is it's an early afternoon game. Like, I don't feel good about taking Missouri if you decide to go that way. But 13.5 is a lot of points.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching for the injury team to report who's going to start at quarterback before I make any kind of decisions. But right now, currently, I'm not playing it at all. Not until they let me know.
I don't blame you. I
usually make this funny line every week about us burying the lead, but we didn't bury the lead this time. Nebraska's up next. They're going on the road. I wish Nebraska would have played USC this last weekend, and I would have went to the game. It would have saved me a lot of money going to this game, because I would have not had the horrible Saturday that I did. So that's not going to happen. They're going to play this Saturday, and of course, I'm going to be working on Spank Odds like I always do. Why don't you tell me about this 9? Because 9 looks like it's a too big a number until you look at the USC schedule and you realize they play really, really good at home, really, really bad on the road. What do you think about this? What kind of number do you have on USC?
So Nebraska has played a stronger strength of schedule than USC has. Nebraska number 20 in current strength of schedule, USC number 34. And I've got USC by 10.5 here. Based on the last 4 weeks, I've got USC by 22 points. Nebraska looks like they have just fallen off of a cliff. And I don't know exactly how you get that back. To be fair, this is a good spot to get your passing game going again, because USC is number 103 in passing success rate allowed. You could probably run the ball pretty well here. Nebraska number 6 in stuff rate allowed. USC number 98 in stuff rate created. Teams don't rush a lot against USC because it's a little bit easier to throw the ball on them. But I think you can kind of do what you want to on offense against them. They've got a ton of injuries on defense. The problem is, can the defense stop what they're doing on offense? And now, what's the kid's name? Jaden Lieva, the kid from UNLV. He's going to start this week.
Okay.
So Miller Moss not playing. This kid is coming in and has not played before, so that's something new that Nebraska is going to have to try and figure out. I mean, 10.5 does, or, well, what is it now? A 9? 9.5 feels like a lot here because I think Nebraska can. This is backs against the wall. We have to have this for a bowl game kind of thing. But it's kind of the same thing for USC.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you're talking about a team that's only got 4 wins on the season in USC. Nebraska really needs it to go to a bowl game. I don't know if USC is going to make a bowl game or not. I don't know if they care. But it's two teams that both are just kind of backs against the wall, and USC gets to do it at home. So this is another one where I'm probably going to stay away from it. Nebraska's special teams has been atrocious. I mean, they're so bad at it. Number 122 in SP plus special teams. USC is number 47, but it's not like they're worlds better. I don't feel good about either side here. But do you feel good about Nebraska this week?
No. I
want to feel good about them, but man,
you don't want to feel good about them as much as I do. But I can just tell you the way the program is going right now. There was just a big announcement yesterday that one of the big recruits that we had out of the state of Kansas just flipped to Kansas. It looks like Matt Rule has hired a new offensive analyst. That's what they're calling them.
Analyst.
Dana. Yeah, that's exactly right. None of this shows the program is in good shape right now. I'm really worried about this game.
Everybody knew that Satterfield was not a great OC. Like, he never has been, but he's one of Matt Rule's guys, right? But bringing in Holgorsen could certainly open up Raiola a little bit. Is it enough time to get him situated with somebody new that's actually a pretty decent quarterback coach? I don't know. But going against the USC defense that's certainly not good and is dealing with a lot of injuries, that's about as advantageous a position as you can get.
Well, we're getting a lot of movement. Hang on a second. We got a flashing update here. The Missouri game was moving. It lit up red all across the board. I wasn't able to pull it up.
Yeah, the odds are changing.
Yeah, everything was moving there. Okay.
Well, I'm seeing an 8 and an 8. So Pinnacle's got 8.5 on USC Nebraska. So you get some Nebraska money coming in.
Yeah, a little bit, just a little bit. I gotta say, if you force me to play this game, and because of my heart, I won't. I gotta play USC in this spot.
Anything under 10, probably.
Oh, under 10, yeah, definitely. I think Nebraska is ready to pack it in for the season. Like I say, I don't think they're going to beat Iowa. I don't think they're going to win this ball game. I don't think they're going bowling. And halfway through the season, I thought they were playing for the national title. So it's been a complete turnaround for me. But speaking of playing for the national title, let's bring this up real quick.
Of course.
You put out your playoffs matchups last week, and I simulated all of them. I do not believe there was a shocker in there. The national title game was between Oregon and Georgia. Georgia took care of business. Georgia ended up playing Texas, which was no shock. And Oregon ended up playing Ohio State in the semifinals. Again, no shock. So what I did is after the national championship played, I went ahead and ran the game for third place because I wanted to see how Ohio State would handle Texas. And it went Ohio State. So the Big Ten is really, really strong. And when I was looking at the polls that were coming out today, I think the Big Ten is in first, second, fourth. Where's Indiana? Fifth.
Yeah.
So the Big Ten.
Now it'll change obviously because Ohio State plays Indiana next weekend, and then we'll have the Big Ten title at some point, and
Right.
but
It's not
yeah.
over, but that's a really, really strong conference because the last 10 years we've said it's all SEC, SEC, SEC.
Well, the interesting thing is that, like, they don't play each other, right? Indiana does not have to play Penn State or Oregon,
Yep.
and vice versa. Of course, Penn State had to play Ohio State, but they didn't have to play Oregon, and they don't have to play Indiana. So they set up the schedule for the stronger teams in the conference. Now, Indiana, who could have
Who knew?
possibly known, right? But the other three, you had Ohio State got to play Penn State and Oregon as well, and Indiana. But outside of that, like, Ohio State felt like the only roster that could really go through that. I'm curious what Indiana's record would be if they weren't playing like the 100. Well, last week it was the 103rd. Now, after they played Michigan, I'm curious what it is. But yeah, they've not played a strong schedule. And as a matter of fact, that's one of those things that is going to be very interesting to see what they do on Tuesday night, because we're trying to figure out, okay, if Indiana gets blasted by Ohio State, they've only got one loss on the season, but they don't play another team that is even in like the top 35, the top 40, as far as power ratings. Is that a playoff worthy resume, or is it not? Because then you've kind of got the same thing going on with some of these teams in the Big 12. Like, if BYU gets to the Big 12 title game undefeated and they take a loss, is BYU still considered one? Because they would have better ranked wins than Indiana. In Indiana, I don't think, if they get beat by Ohio State, I don't think there's a way for them to get into the Big Ten title game. Who knows? So strength of schedule is certainly going to play into this. I mean, there's a world where we get 5 SEC teams in, but trying to figure out the tiebreaker last night, I mean, I was up at 1 o'clock Central Time trying to figure out how. So there's a world where it could be any one of the 5, and it would be based on opponent win percentage in the conference. And at that point, then Alabama looks better because they've got Missouri, they've got South Carolina, they played Vanderbilt, Georgia, Tennessee, et cetera. Like, there's a lot that Alabama has played as far as good opponents, but Tennessee beat them. Georgia, obviously, super strong and has played quite a few strong opponents. It has a big win over Texas, the only win over Texas. It is beyond chaotic. It's like they never really thought out the idea that, oh crap, we could have everybody with 2 losses. I mean, and in the Big Ten, it's kind of the same thing. Like, we could have 4 teams that have 1 loss. How are we going to do this? How do we solve this? And so, because they can't all get into the playoff, can they? I mean,
no, they can't.
Like, I wouldn't think so, because Notre Dame's still sitting out there, and I don't know if there's going to be room for an additional Big 12 team, an additional ACC team. Who knows? I mean, somebody's going to be mad at the end of the year. Like, a lot of somebody's going to be mad.
Well, that's the perfect negotiation, though. It's when everybody's mad. So I would say Indiana does not make the playoffs unless they play in the title game. I don't think they have to win the title game, but I think they have to play in it. And I think they have to beat Ohio State. I think if they don't beat Ohio State, I think they have 0 chance of getting in. Then we're going to get the Penn State, the Oregon, and the Ohio State.
But see, that's the thing, is Penn State's schedule kind of sucks too. Like, they haven't played anybody. Like, when I say they haven't played anybody, I mean, obviously they've played some difficult teams, but like, there's not a ranked team in there. Like, there's nothing. So I don't know how they're going to sort through this, because Big Ten presidents and whatnot are going to look at this and say, okay, but you're just propping up the SEC because they haven't really proven against any other conferences that they're the best conference. So you're just saying that, that look at who they've played, but like, they've all played each other the same way that we have.
Right.
So how do you really, unless you get some kind of an invitational going where early in the season, a non-conference schedule where you can actually, juxtapose this, I don't know how they do it. Like, it is going to be absolute mayhem, and it'll be the highest rated, CFP unveiling or whatever it is at the end of the season that they have ever had, because it is
I
going
agree.
to be nuts.
Yeah, but that's good for publicity. That's good for people watching the shows. You don't want everybody happy. If everybody's happy, less people are going to watch. So
And you got that
you
right.
got to stir the pot a little bit. But in my playoffs, I think 3 Big 10 teams make it. That's what I've
Yeah,
got.
it'll be Oregon, Ohio State, and then either Penn State or Indiana,
Yeah.
one or the
Yeah.
other. And if that's the case, then you can get 5 SEC in and
Yeah.
Notre Dame, and
Yep.
then 1 Big 12, 1 Group of 5, 1 ACC.
Yep. I think that's very close to what we're going to see. And there is one sad thing I want to say tonight. There's only 3 games left on most
Yeah,
of these teams' schedule.
yeah, for the
Our
regular
season
season.
is almost coming to an end. And like I told you at Bet Bash, we're going to have fun doing this. And I didn't lie to you. We've had fun every single week.
Yes, we
And
have.
I cannot tell you how happy I am that I was able to talk you into doing this with me. This has been a great time. I was fully expecting us to be celebrating a national title. I guess we're going to be celebrating a different winner here at the end of the year. But still, Gary, this has been a blast with you. And thank you very much for doing it. And I
Of
can't wait to
course.
do it with you next week. And like I said before, we're going to have to get you on as a guest on my Saturday show with Adam. Adam did it again using that system that we've discussed on the show. He was able to grab another winner out. Unfortunately, we lost my survivor, so it was a bad thing for that. But when they,
But he
when the,
seems to find winners every week, man. He's
oh, he
he's
does.
really good at this.
Yeah, it's a great system that he's using. It's something that I've tested multiple years ago when I was a trader. I think there's some validity to this. And I'd just like to have you come on when the college football season's over. Just as an NFL fan, I'd like to have you stop by.
I think we can make that happen.
We can
I
make
think
it
we can
happen.
make that happen. A good news for your Nebraska team. Yeah, you've got the 2 teams on the road, but that home game against Wisconsin
Yeah,
might be gettable. Might be good. Wisconsin has not played well on the road.
that's true. That we've got one shot out of the 3.
I can get down with it. Hey, that Indiana schedule, by the way, I'm looking at it again. I'm just there's nothing there. Florida International, Western Illinois, Charlotte, UCLA, Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska, Washington, at Michigan State, and then Michigan. And then you got Ohio State and Purdue to end. Like an average top 25 team would probably have gone 10-2 against that schedule. So if Indiana goes 11-1, it's you would have liked to have seen something else on there.
I agree.
Anything.
No Ohio State win. I think they're out. I think it's just that simple.
I think you're probably right.
But they've had a great year, and they only have one loss. But that doesn't get you in the playoffs. Not for me, anyway.
It's wild. It's wild. Gonna be some mad fans in Bloomington.
Well, Gary, I think we need to go ahead and wrap this up. This has been a great week. Hopefully, the Huskers can prove me wrong and actually make a big win here on Saturday. But Gary, how do we find you? Especially remind us about your 2 shows because I really enjoy those.
Of course. The easiest way, of course, you see it on the screen. It's at Gary WCE on X here. I finally hit 10,000 followers on there, so thank you to everybody that followed over there. But as always, Winning Cures Everything. That is the personal show where I cover all the stuff that we don't hit on the BetUS College Football Show, and that is every Tuesday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The record has certainly taken a hit the last couple of weeks. However, I feel like we're still giving out good information so you can make your own decision as to what way you're going to play it, because we do look at the pros and cons of both sides. We don't just try and sell you on one thing, but we break down on average about 18 to 19 games per week. So definitely hop over there, check it out. Myself, Kyle Hunter, a couple of years ago won Handicapper of the Decade from Capper Picks or whatever it was that but Handicapper of the Decade is a huge accomplishment. So Kyle Hunter's really, really good. And then Parker Fleming at Stats of War, he's fantastic as far as the analytics side of college football. So 2 really knowledgeable guys. And then, of course, there's me. And I don't know that I'm near those 2, but I do have a good time, and I do spend a lot of time researching this stuff. So hopefully you'll join us every Tuesday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern.
It's definitely a good show. Of course, you can reach out to me. I'm at Vegas Horse Pools. If you have any problems with Spank odds or any questions there, send me the message at Spank Odds. I'll be glad to help you. And we'll go ahead and sign out. We'll see everybody next Monday.